Wait, where's the play button? Wait, there's no play button on the... do I have to click? Oh, I have to click. There it is. I'm leaving that in. I'm not editing.
The New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Kacy. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. As I lean off the side to get some yellow paper to write on, just in case Rich says something funny. I need a title for the for the podcast. This is episode number 307. It's Monday, April 21st, 2025. I'm one of the hosts of this podcast, Jerry Evanoff, and with me, the funny guy himself, Rich Kacy. Rich, how are you?
I'm doing well. Not feeling particularly funny. Feeling more like going to sleep. But it was just a wicked holiday weekend. After these holidays, I always feel like I need a holiday in order to recover. So.
I agree. In fact, today I don't know about down south where you're at, but I think schools were out today.
Yeah,
they were out Friday and out today, and it's like, wait, I didn't get any holidays.
I know.
Too?
Yeah, they were out today here too. I guess Easter Monday is the thing.
That's so weird. All right. Okay. Well, it's I'm a little sleepy myself, but not for the same reasons of you. Mine was literally just because of last night, whereas yours seemed to be the last 4 or 5 days kind of kicking in the butt.
Yeah. And I'll cover some of that when we get to it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump right into my stats then. First, I'm going to close that. There we go. And I'm going to say that in book 7.5, let me get with my goal first. My goal this week was to get 5,000 words and to also get 15 of the 20 chapters complete. And I only had 4 writing sessions this week, but I crushed my goal.
Oh, yay.
7,184 words this week, even though, like I said, it was a weird week of writing. And I did get to 15 chapters. Actually, I got to like 15 and like, 0.2 because I started working on 16 today at lunch and didn't get very far with it. I'm not even halfway, but I did get into the 16th chapter, which is good. Book 7.5 is up. My novella is up 6,845 words, 24,201. And I know what you're thinking right now, Rich. You're thinking, wait, how did you get 7,184 words last week, but only 6,845 went into book 7.5? Where did the other words go? Well, here's something you didn't expect. Book 3 is up 389 words to 51,707. And we'll talk about why that is later, but it's fun. It's one of my favorite, I always talk about how I like revision 1. That's my favorite part of writing overall in the steps. But the thing that I did yesterday is one of my favorite things to do writing also. And I did it in my previous series, and I'm going to do it in this series a lot.
I can guess what it is.
Oh, yeah, it's easy. I've talked about it 1,000 times, but I'll talk about it later. We're going to tease that one out. For the year, I crossed over 60,000 words, and that's not bad considering we're not even through 4 months yet. I'm at 61,612 on my way to the 145,000 word goal that I planned for the year, and my words per hour actually went up 11 words to 1,261 words per hour, which is I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's a really nice average actually when you think about it. It's even for anybody. I mean that's pretty rapid. So it's not the 5,000 words an hour or whatever that some people say they can do.
Was that Chris Fox?
Yeah, Chris Fox.
Was the 5,000 words an hour? Yeah, back when I used to pay attention to all that stuff. Yeah. I just don't anymore.
Chris Fox and I think both him and Rachel Herron, those are the 2 people.
Oh, right. That's right.
Talked about that. Right. In terms of my week, or my stats, against all odds, given the busy holiday week, I thought I would get nothing done. I actually wrote 16,516 words.
Wow.
On that cozy mystery that I said I had been noodling with over the last couple of weeks in terms of an outline. Got 7 chapters done of what looks like right now will be about a 25 chapter story. I'm trying to aim for about 50,000 words, make this one a little bit shorter than I have the romances I've been working on. And actually right now, if I've got 7 chapters and 16,000 words, I think I'm overwriting it a little bit. So that per chapter word count will probably fall once I get to editing it. But I was super happy. I had to be super happy with that because I really didn't expect to get hardly anything done. That brings my yearly word count up to 83,215 words. So I'm 42% of my way to the goal of 200,000 words in 2025. So right on pace. Don't see any problems right there. I didn't do any editing this week, but I did do 75 Blue Sky posts.
What?
Which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And from that, I picked up a few new followers. I think I'm at like 315 or 320, something like that.
I'm thinking back to last week's podcast when you said somewhere near the end, something to the effect of, if I don't get anything done by Wednesday, I won't get anything done, and I probably won't get anything done by Wednesday.
Right.
You killed it. You had one of your best weeks of the year.
I know. I don't know what happened. I got in a groove. I had some free time a few days.
Oh my God.
And,
so you went Phil Collins against all odds, and then Madonna get into the groove. I love it. You're just dropping 80s bombs like crazy. It's great. All right, so get into my weekly recap from last week. Tuesday, I finished, I think I was in the office Tuesday. I finished chapter 19. I had 1,181 words in about 55 minutes, the second scene of that chapter. I really like the way this is working out. This is the final 3 chapters of the book, 18, 19, 20, that I was working on at the beginning of the week. And I really like the way this finale is coming out, where I'm, I'll spoil it. It's fine. It's going to be a couple of years before it's released anyway, probably. Where I'm basically going to have an amateur sleuth mystery story here. And in the final chapter, the amateur sleuth gets murdered by the serial killer, who then gets away. And then we to be continued it into book 9. And book 8. I think this is interesting. I don't know if people, I'm sure, have done this before. I think everything's been done, but I really am enjoying writing this, and it's fun to write an actual serial killer winning story. You don't see that very often, so it's been fun. Wednesday, work from home on this day and work through my lunch, and that's going to be a theme you're going to hear now for the next few days, as we have a big demo on Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. that I'm not a part of, but I did do a lot of the work. There's one guy who's just crushing it, but I did a lot of the work getting us into this demo. So a lot of working through lunch coming up. No writing, nothing like that. Around 2:00, I actually took my first break. That's when I took my lunch break. I folded my laundry and had a bowl of cereal. So it was a fun little 20-minute break. Nothing writing really.
This is like kind of a sidecar here, but does your company do these programs on spec, or are they doing them to order for people?
So this is a demo that came out of nowhere, and in about a week and a half, we've put together just some amazing software that we didn't have a week and a half ago that we really need to have.
So this was something somebody was looking for, or something? Oh, okay.
It's I don't want to get into it too much, but
no.
It was something that was needed by someone. So
the economist in me wonders, okay, are they just creating these programs and then trying to sell them, or are people coming to them wanting a program and they're creating them for them? And that's
more of the second one than for this one. Yeah, more of the second one here. I got home from I stopped working right around 4:30, and nothing right really on this day. I did play the first half of my NASCAR game. It's a 50-turn game. I played the first 25 of them, which took me a little bit longer because it's the first time I'd ever played it, and there was some rule stuff I had to look up. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It's a King of the Hill style game where the drivers are organized into 3 groups, and the goal is to get into the lead. So if you are in the third group, you challenge the guys in the second group, and then you can challenge the guys in the first group, and then you can challenge the leader, and it's a lot of fun, especially since it's a lot of names that I know and people that I don't like and do like, and I can root for people and root against people. So it's a lot of fun. It's the 2002 season, where, again, right in the heart of where I was a NASCAR fan back then. Thursday, I did go back into the office, again, working through my lunch, did not get anything done writing wise. And then, I don't even remember what I did in the evening. I came home and did something. I don't know what, but it was that kind of week. Friday, same as Wednesday, worked through my lunch again, work from home. And in the second half of, I played the second half of my NASCAR game, including my fun recording blunder of pushing pause to do something with the dog with 11 turns to go, and then realizing it as I ended the race, I'd actually never pushed start recording again. So I literally talked to a camera into a microphone for a good half an hour and wasn't recording anything.
Did you redo it?
So what I did was I reset up the last lap, and I did that, and I posted it. Yeah, felt silly, but that's okay. It was a good time. Yeah. Something interesting though on this day, I was working with my boss, going through some of the stuff on this demo. Actually, boss's boss. He's CIO, and we were on a Teams meeting together, and he was sharing his screen. We were just chatting, and he was showing some of the stuff that we're doing with AI about how you can basically create this data set, and then you can create an AI chatbot that looks just like ChatGPT, and then you can ask it something about your data set, and it will actually go in and answer you. So he was writing stuff like, what was the fourth quarter, stats in the EMEA region, last year, and it was answering him. Now I don't know if the data was correct, but it was answering him. It was answering him quick. It was giving him graphs and charts. It was really, really cool and really, really scary at the same time. And he said, he said to me, he said, this is why I want you guys to know more about AI. And I'm like, well, Jim, I've been using it for 2.5 years. I've been paying for it. He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He's like, I want you to know the back end. I want you to know what's going on behind the scenes. And I never have really thought about that. And but I think that would look really, really good on a resume if I ever needed it again, because that's where everything's going. AI is out way too early right now, but every company, big and small, thinks that they need to push it out to their customers to look better than the other company who's doing exactly the same thing. It's amazing how this came out of nowhere in terms of the companies, at least my company, and all of a sudden now it's got to be everywhere.
Right.
And so I never thought of that. So I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I had this idea. I play this APBA football game, and all of the stats are stored in files, text files. It's old school text files. Is all he does. It's on this computer right here. On my desktop, there's a folder, and inside that folder, there's a bunch of files that represent every game that I've ever played in the last year or so. And I thought, boy, I bet I could get AI to then look into those files, and I can ask it, who led the league in receptions in week 2 in my 1989 replay. Boom, it's going to give me the answer without me having to look for it. But I'm going to look into this a little bit. So we'll put that aside until we get to Monday.
Okay.
Going into this weekend, I really was assuming that I was going to be playing golf Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then none of it actually happened. Friday, I had to work. I just couldn't miss the day because of what's going on with this demo. Saturday morning, I woke up and it's just raining and thunderstorms and just a mess, and there was no way I was going to golf. So I went to write, and let me just tell you about this writing day. Went to Chick-fil-A. I added 884 words to chapter 20. This finished the book, although I still have stuff in the middle to do, but this was chapter 20, the last chapter. It was kind of it wasn't an epilogue, but it was the next day after my serial killer kills the amateur sleuth. And now he's like, okay, now I need Sam Norris to come. That's going to be my next, opponent kind of thing. I wrote that and was doing well. And then I went back to chapter 8, which is the midpoint. This is where my serial killer gets infatuated. This is where he sees Sam for the first time. He reads about the events of book 1. He sees a news article where a local reporter is interviewing him just after the events of book 1 and praising him for being this amateur sleuth. And what the news would do, they'd grab onto the story and make it silly. And he's a criminology guy for years. He got kicked out of his last college, and he's a little bit bitter. And now this amateur sleuth is getting all the publicity. He really needs to know more about this guy. And so I wrote this scene where he the whole thing happens from where the chapter starts to where he gets infatuated with in the end of it. And I ended up writing 2,514 words in this chapter. I think it's 2 scenes. I was there for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So overall, I wrote 3,398 words in that day. And it was only 2 chapters. And I left there like I did not expect to get that kind of word count.
Well, you didn't expect to get anything. You were going to be golfing.
Yeah, I mean, I would have went after golf, but if I get to the rest, like hothead at like 1:30, I'm not staying until 4:30.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
But I had nothing else going on. I was going to go like maybe get some summer clothes, whatever if I wanted to. But that was it. I had nothing else going on, so I just stuck around and hung around until I was good, and it was a great day in terms of writing for me, and that's how I was able to blow by my my goal from last week without actually losing one of my writing days. So it was nice. And then after I came home, played my football game, cleaned up my house, kind of sat around. I made a couple of bets on some baseball players, and I watched, I don't even know what game it was, Seattle and Toronto, I think it was, as I watched one of my players win the bet and the other one lose the bet. So I ended up 50 cents, which was nice for the day. And yesterday, the weather was fine, but I got a text message from my buddy Dave, who I golf with the night before, saying, listen, it's going to be 40 degrees. It's going to be super wet and muddy because of all the rain the previous day. He said, I really don't want to play in this. And I was like, that's fine. I'll go right. It's not the end of the world. It's early in the summer. I got a lot of golf ahead of me. So if he wants to do this one, I'm okay with it. So I went to Panera and started working on chapter 10. So is that right? Chapter 10? Yeah. Wait, is that right? Yeah, chapter 10. And this is where I started adding words to book 3. This is, I don't know if you're reading the outline or not, but I'll say if you want to guess what I did. So I wrote a scene where in book 7.5, my main character shows up at the same place. My serial killer shows up at the same place my main character was in book 3 and has a little bit of an elevator scene with him. And it's the first time he ever sees him in person. He sees, Sam in person. He's nervous, but at the same time, he's excited. He's a little crazy. And they share a quick elevator ride. He makes small talk, and then Sam leaves. And I write the whole scene. It ended up being 1,711 words. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I love writing these scenes because I know now I'm going to go back to book 3. I'm going to find that scene and I'm going to rewrite it now with my main character or my serial killer stepping on the elevator with him. Because I already had the elevator scene. It was basically one paragraph. And now it's probably, again, 339 words, and there's a little bit of dialogue. And then I had to make sure the dialogue was exactly the same. And what I was able to change was the what was going on in the character's head in each of the two sides of the story. And I love writing that. It's so much fun to write that. And I've talked about it before. The first time I ever saw it happen was in Net Force with Tom Clancy. The general's walking down the sidewalk. He passes a guy. Doesn't really think much of him. In the next chapter, we're in the bad guy's point of view. He's walking down the sidewalk. He's the guy the general passed. He knows who the general is. He remarks on him. And I just love the idea of seeing that from two different point of views. There was a show. I know you want to talk. Hold on. There was a show with one of the new kids on the block, a Wahlberg. What's his name? Not Mark Wahlberg. The other one. Donnie Wahlberg. Called Boomtown.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't last very long, maybe one season. But it showed a crime or something from like 5 different characters' POV. And then it would all meet in the end. And I just thought it was cool. And it didn't last very long. But I love that whole idea of seeing it from other people's point of view.
I forgot that you had talked about doing this. I was actually thinking that you went back to book 3 and you had to seed some stuff because of what happened in 7.5. And I guess it's kind of like that, but yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, I love the crossover stuff. It's so much fun. Came home to play my football game. So that was a total of like 2,040 words that day, I think is what it ended. 2,040 words in that day. So, on those 2 days, my goal was 5,000 words. I beat it on those 2 days. And I still had 2 other writing sessions, which would be last Tuesday and then today. Played my football game in the afternoon, like always. And then I was sitting there in the evening. It was like 5 o'clock. And I was really wanting to play this NASCAR game. It was so much fun. I wanted to play another game. And so what did I do? I played it. Wait, no, I went to Easter dinner at my parents' first. That was at like 3 o'clock. And had dinner. That was until like 4:30. My dad made a steak that was so big it barely fit on the giant plate he put it on. It was really good. And then came home and I was kind of thinking about that NASCAR game. I really wanted to play it. I really enjoyed it. So I set up the second race and played the whole game. It took like an hour and a half. And a lot of fun. And then I went into the living room and kind of sat and watched TV until bedtime. And that was pretty much it. I didn't sleep much last night. My air conditioner's broke. And it's a little stuffy in my bedroom. I have an air conditioner in my window upstairs and I can turn it. It's on right now on like 65. So it kicks on and off as the temperature goes up and down. But when I go to bed, I turn it off because it's too loud to sleep to.
Oh, okay.
So I lay in there for like a half an hour. I get up at 5 and then it's like, okay, I got to turn it. So I turn it on and then let it run. And that's going to keep me awake, but it cools it off a little bit. It scares my dog, who's now laying up by my shoulder, shaking because he's afraid of it. And so it kicks off the end and I turn it off for a minute. And, I was pretty much up and down all night, just didn't get a lot of sleep. So hopefully tonight's different. But again, air conditioner guys aren't coming until Wednesday. So hopefully tonight it's not so bad. Today was hectic at work as always. Again, scrambling to get this work done. I worked through lunch kind of. I did get about a half an hour where I was eating and writing at the same time. And I added 555 words to chapter 11. So now I'm down to just 4.5 chapters to go in this novella. The hope is to finish it this week. And then a new AI idea hit me, and I'm going to talk about it in the share section at the end of this thing, because I'm going to read a little bit of ChatGPT when I get there.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
We'll leave that as a tease. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, my week, Tuesday, I spent the morning paying my estimated taxes online for the first time for the year, and then went outside into the garden and planted some cucumber starts I had yet to get in the ground. I had to go to work at noon. I only had the morning off. I went into work at noon only to find my 82-year-old coworker literally in tears because the IRS rejected her electronic filing, and neither she nor anyone else could figure out what the problem was. But luckily, I used TurboTax, and she was trying to use it too, and I have a long and pugnacious relationship with it. So I was able to find her problem and fix it in about 5 minutes. But this kind of brought to my attention, again, one of the many times, of the problem with our digital age, and that it's really, really hard for seniors, and especially those who are advanced seniors, to keep up with all this stuff. And they're being forced to, because all the paper stuff is just going away. And the government and everybody else is assuming that people are very fluent with the UIs, and that they can navigate this stuff, and they literally just can't. So that's going to be something that's going to keep me busy, I think, for the foreseeable future, as long as I want to stay at this job, because I'll just be helping one old person after another who comes in trying to navigate all this crap. After that, I was busy at the public desk until dinner, helping the last minute text filers, of which there were a lot of them apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't realize that was a thing at the library.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very, very last minute. Well, mainly it was finding the forms that they needed and stuff like that. We actually have people who have been there since February, volunteering their time. These are CPAs and stuff to help people work through their taxes. I mean, I don't do any of that. I could, but I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm just basically trying to help them get their paperwork together. The biggest surprise of the day, though, on Tuesday was I was able to take about an hour and a half off for lunch. And I didn't waste any of it, which almost never happens. I usually waste it all in one way or another, either going out to buy cookies or something. Instead, I wrote the opening scenes for the Cozy Mystery that I started working on a couple of weeks ago, and I got 1,732 words in about an hour and a half, which is a pretty nice clip for me. Evening at the library, was shooting the breeze with my coworker, Mark. Didn't really do anything. I was giving the young librarians, female librarians, a hard time over one thing or another because I'm old and they think I'm funny. Probably in a Les Nessman kind of way.
You're missing Band-Aids too, Les. You got to have a Band-Aid on your body somewhere to be Les Nessman.
Yeah. I'm funny, haha, instead of funny, adorable. I got home at 9:30, and since I wasn't going to go to work the next day because I had Wednesday off, I watched a bit of TV before turning in. Wednesday, I was out in the garden early and stayed there until dinner time. It was such a beautiful day. I managed to get some more repair work done on the greenhouse. I'm slowly replacing the foundation and the floor of it as I work around it. There's still more to go. Probably still will be more to go a month from now. I did have enough energy in the evening, though, to sit down and write again. I managed 1,301 new words. So this is all writing time that I hadn't expected to get, because I usually don't have that kind of energy in the evening. And I think, as I'll mention later, it kind of caught up with me after a while. Thursday was a kind of a work day. We had a day, they closed the libraries, and we had day-long staff training. The kind of thing that I really despise, where we all the library people from the entire parish get together one spot, and we have to listen to presentations and things like that. So this time, for the first time, I mean, used to, when I was at the university and we would have meetings and stuff like that, I used to sit right next to my department head because he loved to do nothing but ridicule the speakers and stuff that were up there and all kinds of snarky stuff under his breath. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to kind of take a page out of that playbook, and I'm going to live skeet it on Blue Sky. So I live skeeted the entire conference on Blue Sky. And if nothing else, it kept me engaged, kept me paying attention to what was going on. Although I'm not sure my administration would necessarily be thrilled with some of the ideas or some of the things that I wrote down. I didn't put any of the more snarky of them here, but some of my favorite ones were, number one, the assistant director demonstrates repeatedly she's never used a remote to advance slides. She could not get it to go forward. It was like one step forward, two steps back every time she did something with it. The people who I always, at any conference I go to, I always feel sorry for the people who have to sit on stage, because they were up there for 2.5 hours. And they were really starting to fidget at the end of that because, man, it was really way past time for a bathroom break for them. I was thinking one part of the session they were talking about programming and developing programs to engage patrons, and I was thinking, that would be a lot more attractive as a job activity if we could code name them. And initially, I thought, I want to call dibs on Treadstone, but then I decided, I don't know if you know, it's from the Jason Bourne movies.
Oh, I have no idea what it is. Okay.
Yeah, where they basically brainwash people.
Okay.
But since I'm basically in charge of technology classes and support outreach at our branch, I decided that from now on, my programs are going to be codenamed Honeypot. Kind of an homage to the old computer firm Honeywell, but with a little more spice, as in the spy game. So
I like it.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. In fact, now I want to do that at work with our programs.
Yeah.
I love it.
It'll make it more fun.
Yeah.
Then there's a part of the program where I typed that I'm getting a distinct impression that many of these programs are in existence so that the organized can do their hobbies on the clock. I mean, there's a lot of programs involving knitting, crocheting, book club, stuff like that. I'm not sure I could get a napping program approved though, because that would be my major thing I would want to do.
Thinking of the APBA football program and how it would go.
That's right.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And then right towards the end, of course, the struggle got really real and my eyes kept shutting no matter how hard I tried to keep them open. In fact, I actually did the old head bob a number of times.
Yeah. And how many of the 75 skeets were from that section?
From the head bobbing?
No, from that day.
Oh, all 75.
All 75. I just want to say that is at Kacy himself, Kacy himself, because I'm going to go there probably tonight and read all of them.
Right. Yeah. There are, a lot of them are not very funny, but some of them, especially as the thing went on, I actually started typing real ones, which is, real.
Oh, okay.
Real. So, but
they got you.
Yeah, they got me.
You learned more at this one than you've ever learned at one before.
That's right. I was sitting next to, for the whole first part of the day, I was sitting next to probably a 25, 26-year-old librarian, maybe a little bit older, sitting next to me, and she thought it was hilarious that I was doing this. I guess she'd never heard of anybody doing something like that. I go, what? People do that all the time on Twitter and stuff. Yeah.
My favorite story, real quick, is not. I wasn't tweeting anything, but it's again, the whole thing happening at meetings where I'm a fan of the 372 or the riff tracks thing, and there's a guy by the name of James Wynn who does movies, and his movies are awful, and there's 3 or 4 really, really. Birdemic is one of them. Julian Jack is one of them, and the other one that I love is called Replica. And in these movies, there's always a business deal going down, and the business deal is always for this childish round number of $1 million or $10 million or $100 million every single time. And by the third movie, the guys would be like, "Oh, give us a number," and he'd be like 100. They go, "Yay!" It's a round number. So I was in a meeting once at my old job. And my buddy, who's also a big fan of it, he was like 3 rows up from me, and our GM was up speaking, and he said something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, we're looking to raise 10 million." At the same time, he looked back at me, I looked up at him, and we both knew exactly what it was. And then after the meeting, somebody came over and like, "Why did you guys look at each other?" And it's like, it's a long story. So yeah, I those meetings there's always comic gold in the
Yeah, there is.
Just gotta find it.
But it was exhausting. After that, I went home and I took about an hour nap, but then I had to be right back out the door because it was Maundy Thursday, and we had to have our service. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too terribly long, even though it was, for those who wanted to get involved at this level, there was feet washing involved. But I don't go in for that. I'm not touching or having anybody touch my feet. So. But my level of concentration was shot during that evening service, so the sound and the video was amateurish at best. But I'm not sure. I don't know if on Thursday if anybody was watching from home or not, but it's there for posterity. So I came home and then slept like a dead person that night. Friday, since it was Good Friday, we had the day off. Library was closed again. I was outside all day doing greenhouse repairs and gardening, and I started harvesting off the rest of our spring crops that were still in the ground, like kale and pak choi, and getting more of the summer stuff that I still had left around in, like melons and beans and pumpkins. I was pretty tired around midday, so after lunch, I took a little nap, and then I sat down and just wrote. I wrote for 3 hours, got 2,995 words. I just didn't want to go back outside, and that was the next best thing to do. In fact, it was going so well that I decided just to skip Good Friday service in the evening. I called somebody up and just had them take over for me in terms of the AV. Hopefully that won't come back to bite me in some way. Later in the evening, we spent watching the very last episode of Ludwig. I think I told you about this, about the guy who's a puzzle master. Yeah, season 1 only had 6 episodes. We watched the last one. Now we have to wait for season 2, which won't drop until next spring, I think.
Ugh.
Yeah, I hate it.
Streaming is the worst.
I know. It just takes so long to get them back.
Yeah.
Saturday, it was a day off for me. The library was open, but I had a day off because it's my normal weekend off. I knew we were going to have an Easter vigil in the evening, so I got some words in before lunch. In fact, quite a few, 2,575. And then after lunch, I just puttered around a little bit in the yard doing some odds and ends because I had to be at church early at 5 o'clock. And I didn't get home till 8:30. The actual service itself on Easter vigil is 2.5 hours long. It is a long service, and basically it spent most of the time just reading scripture. So yeah, it's kind of a long thing. And we were having trouble with the sound system too.
Mm.
Somebody had gotten into our computer system there. I think the janitors or whatever. We've got all these monitors back there and our soundboard and the camera equipment, and they come in and what they do is they try to fiddle around with the monitors so that they can pull up a TV. and
okay.
and they watch TV or listen to TV while they're cleaning, but it just totally screws us up. And if they're really clumsy about it, they erase our settings. And
jeez.
I know, and that's kind of what happened. So I had to, Sunday morning, the sound was all botched up. We got the video going okay, but the sound was just horrible. So Sunday I had to go in early in order to get the sound fixed. I did manage to get it fixed before Easter service, which was good for the people who watched at home, which there were quite a few. And I spent the afternoon eating too much, and nothing really was accomplished yesterday. Today was interesting.
Oh.
Today was supposed to be a work day. So I got up and I drove in. And as I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed that one of my coworkers who works the reference desk was in already. And I sat there in my pickup truck for a few minutes. And I said, I'm just too exhausted from the holiday to have to deal with people. So I pulled right back out and just called in sick. I drove a block, called in sick, and then I went to Chick-fil-A for breakfast.
Nice. I've never ever, oh my God, I just read the last sentence of that. Holy cow. I've never ever gotten to work and then called in sick. That's awesome.
Right. So I went down to Chick-fil-A for breakfast, and then I bounced from there to a coffee shop to another library branch just closer to my house where I didn't think anybody would know me. And I spent the whole time writing all day long. And it turned out to be very productive, probably not on a per hour basis, but I did get 7,913 words today.
That's productive. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was good. I got probably three and a half chapters I wrote. So yeah, I was happy with that. I'm sure some people that weren't too happy with me not coming in since they were shorthanded anyways, but I've been stuck in that position so many times. I decided, well, I'm just going to leave it. In fact, the person that I noticed their car was there, they're the ones that always stick me by not coming in, and I end up being by myself. So, okay, well, this is payback. So I did come back basically about an hour early. I came back home, and now we're recording, and afterwards I'm going to get some dinner, and then I think I'm going to pop a Xanax today and try to get some sleep, because like you, for the last 2 or 3 nights, I just have not been able to sleep well. And it's not because my air conditioner isn't working, because if it was, I definitely wouldn't sleep well, because we're already in the mid to high 80s here during the day, and the house heats up. So I don't know what it is, but hopefully I'll get some sleep, and with a little bit of luck, I'll be more enthused about work tomorrow.
Wow, that's a great week. How many words was it?
Yesterday total
for the whole day, the whole week. I mean,
a little over 16,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was clicking. It was clicking like that when I was writing Romance #1 earlier in the year. So I was really happy with that, and part of it, I do have a scaffolding of an outline to work off of, so that helps. In terms of running a list of future things to do, I did add the idea that I'm going to just push hard right now on this cozy mystery since it's going good. I can see where I'm going. I feel like I'm doing some good dialogue and some good scene setting, and I'm going to see if I can finish the first draft of this thing by the end of the first week of May. If I can get that done in the next 2.5 weeks, I will be super happy. I'm about 1/3 of the way there right now, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to get 16,000 words this coming week. Probably not.
You probably shouldn't shoot for that.
No. I'm going to shoot and I didn't shoot for it this past week. All I did was shoot for writing some every day when I could. And so I'm going to do the same thing.
So my running list of future things to do is the same. Although I'm going to add something to it probably after we're done, maybe sometime this week. Lindsay sent me a text about a couple months ago. She sent me this text, and it was about a book that was coming out that she wanted to read. I'm trying to find the actual picture she sent me, because I think she sent me a picture of the book. And I would be disappointed if I can't find it, because I want to hold it up to the camera for you instead of, oh man, it's messed up. It's actually a Golden Girls cozy mystery.
Oh, really?
I believe it's called a cheesecake mystery. I think is what it's called. She finished it today, and she said, it's cute, definitely written for easy understanding. I'm enjoying it and can hear their voices in my head, which is while I read, which is fun. And I'm definitely going to read this ASAP.
Wow, I wonder what the deal is with that, because that would still be under copyright for sure.
Or maybe
the characters. I'm sure they get.
Yeah, and there were books like Murder She Wrote has a bunch of books.
That's true. That's true. They just
the
license
studio
it.
allowed it.
Yeah, they license the IP or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what Star Wars does.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm so sad that I can't find the picture, because I mean it's in recently that we talked about it.
Oh, I bet that is what happens. I bet it's just exactly like Star Wars, where the holder of the IP recruits authors to do certain storylines. Yeah.
Right. And they probably have to clear it. You can't mess with the canon too much.
Right. Right.
And I can't find I know she sent me a picture. I can't find
my
it.
mind.
So I'm going to add that to my list. I'm going to probably start reading that sometime this week.
Yeah, my mind went immediately to Sherlock Holmes and the Sherlock Holmes family, or not Sherlock Holmes family, but Conan Doyle's family.
Oh, Conan Doyle's, okay.
Yeah, kind of clamped down on that. Nothing was written. New Sherlock Holmes stuff was written until the IP was expiring, and then
really, I didn't know that.
Pretty much,
okay,
pretty much.
Because like Perot, what's her name? What's her name? That does the Perot.
Sophia something.
Sophie.
Oh, I can't.
I was going to say Sophie B. Hawkins, but she was a one-hit wonder singer in the 90s.
Yeah, no, I can't remember.
Sophie Hannah. Sophie Hannah. Yeah, she's written 4 or 5 of them. Right. So I'm interested in just reading that, especially since Lindsay said it's a pretty easy read, which is good. I can just read it quickly and
that'll
have
be
fun
interesting.
with it. And hearing their voices in my head, I absolutely love that show to no end. So I'm pretty much looking forward to it. In terms of my addicted to, so I didn't update this from last week. That's definitely not an addicted to this week. Man, I don't know what it would be. It really just working, because we're just trying to get this demo ready for Wednesday morning. It's at 7:30 Wednesday. I'm glad it's at 7:30 Wednesday morning and not like 3 o'clock, because that means when I leave work tomorrow to go to the golf, and I have to leave like before 4:30 because I have my golf league tomorrow. There's nothing more I can do. It's done. I'll go in. I'll turn my laptop on the next day at 7 a.m. and maybe there'll be an update for me to move from one of our programmers. Mm-hmm. But that's it. It's at 8:30, 9 o'clock. However long the demo lasts, that's it. It's over, and we can kind of breathe and relax.
Right.
And it's going to lead to me taking a day off. So,
who runs the demo? Is it somebody? You have a specific person?
Yeah,
does that kind of
we have a guy who knows. He doesn't know our stuff, our side of the house very well, but he's great at giving demos. Great personality, very outgoing. Can talk. Like, he's just a great guy to do a demo. So I talked to him today a little bit. He runs our celebrity death pool also. Yeah. But anyway,
I was going to say he can talk, not unlike most programmers. He can talk.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although I will say that back in my previous life when I was demoing, we were talking about this today. He was like, I'm going to make a script. I need to know where all the words go. And I was like, yeah, it reminds me of back in my previous life when I was demoing for football coaches. I'd done it so many times that I knew where the jokes were going to go. I knew what was going to laugh and what wasn't. Like I was like, it was right off the tip of my tongue. I could do that demo with no problem.
Right,
And I think he can figure it out too. So I'm just looking forward to that being over. So I would say working is probably my, sadly.
Well, my addicted to is still the evening ice cream that we've been having, except now with both the chocolate and cherry preserves. We've added cherry preserves on the bottom, chocolate powder on top, vanilla, natural vanilla bean ice cream in between, and it's kind of like a chocolate covered cherry candy that you get at Christmas.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really, really good. In fact, we powered through an entire jar of cherry preserves. We're gonna have to go out and get more. So.
It's nice that you guys did that. You sacrificed the power through it.
That's right. That's right.
You're good people. Yeah. So in terms of my coming up this week, my schedule for this week, it's kind of strange. Tuesday I'm in the office. That's tomorrow, but my golf league starts tomorrow, and I'm very excited about that because of the way that I hit the ball last week. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'll get home pretty late tomorrow because I'm in one of the later groups, but I will write at lunch. I could probably get about an hour and 20 minutes in at writing because I'm not leaving until about 4:30. So unless I have to work through lunch. Again, it's the last day. We'll probably be trying to push as much stuff in as we can with this demo. So I'm hoping to be able to write at lunch and get 1,000 words. Maybe I can get through this. This chapter 11 that I'm in right now is really like 7 or 8 different scenes. It'll end up being more than one chapter. And they're probably going to be like 500 to 600 words each. They're not going to be that big. And I'm just going to do my best to get through as much as I can. And for chapter 11. Wednesday, I work from home. I do have the AC people coming in the afternoon to take a look at my air conditioning. I probably won't get any writing in on this day. I'm it's one of those days where like the demo will be over and I'm like a little nervous on how it goes because it's a big deal for us. So I hope it goes well. It's the way, it's one of those things where we're cramming everything in last minute. So something's going to go wrong. I just don't know how serious it's going to be, but there was a run through today that didn't go great. There's 2 run throughs tomorrow that I think will go a lot better. So we'll see how it goes. Thursday, I'm back in the office. I'll write at lunch. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to take the full day off on Friday because I didn't take it off last week. I had a chance to save the 13 weeks of straight of no vacation days, but I just decided I'm going to take Friday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to write in the morning, definitely. I think it's supposed to rain, but I invited a buddy of mine down. That right there, by the way, to give you an addicted to. The addicted to I'm going to give you is I bought this board game about 7 years ago called Star Wars Rebellion. It takes about 3 hours to play. You need 2 people. There's a solo version, but I don't really care about that. You need 2 people. Well, I don't have any nerdy friends. They don't care. So it's really hard for me to find a game. And I think the game was like $109. So it was expensive. There's a lot of pieces to it. Like it's so much fun. It's so in depth, and it's probably the best Star Wars board game that's out there. So I called a buddy of mine. I texted a buddy of mine yesterday and said, "Hey, you want to come down Friday?" I said, "None of my friends want to play this. You're the only nerd friend I have." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He's out of work right now, so he's got time. So I think I'm going to go right in the morning, get done by noon, and he'll come down. And I think if it's not raining, we may golf at a course that's kind of local to me. Uh-huh. It's cheap, and we can just go hang out there and play 18 holes pretty quick, and then come back and maybe play this game for a few hours. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be writing and playing the Star Wars board game and golfing, a bunch of stuff I like doing. So I'm pretty excited.
You know what you need to do, since you got that library across the street from you, is you need to get them to set up a board game night, and you might be able to recruit some people to play.
It's actually a really good idea, and I'm going to have to talk to Mallory about that.
We've got that by us. Every 2 weeks on Tuesday evening when I'm working, we've got a group that comes in, about six or 8 people usually, and they play D&D for 3 hours.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would do that, but the only thing is like I'd be like selfish about it. Let's just play the Star Wars Rebellion every time. That's me. I don't.
Well, no, but that's okay.
I'd play other stuff, but still.
Well, but that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there, even in Newton Falls, I'm sure. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, you could get people recruited for that.
Yeah. And then the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, again, as long as the weather lets me, I'll golf in the morning and then I'll write in the afternoon. I'll do my grocery shopping on Sunday. I'll run some errands. I gotta get some summer clothes. I need to get some shorts. I did buy a new desk. I'm pretty excited about. So the table that I'm sitting at right now it's I don't know, like 40, maybe 39 inches long and about 2 feet deep, and that's about as much as I get. I'm starting to buy board games for myself. The NASCAR game, it's a little bit too big for the table. So I bought a desk. I can see it in the box right in there, and it's actually a 53-inch wide, same depth, but 53-inch wide, and it's got a little L shape right here. But it's push the button and it rises, and push the button and it goes back down. Yeah. And because I like to stand when I play my football game, but after a while my back starts hurting, so I need to sit down.
Right.
So so I'm gonna put that together at some point this week, maybe Wednesday night. Probably not tonight because I'm gonna do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna go get some food. I'm gonna get some dinner, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. But at some point this week, I'm going to put this desk together. I'm very excited about that because I need more room. I have so much dice right over here, just right off the camera, and I just need more room. So
yeah, you have those short little desks. It does become hard to do anything on.
Yeah. So that's exciting. Nothing much of anything else throughout the week. But
you have a word count goal for the week, or
so the goal. I'm not. You know what? I didn't put a word count goal down. I didn't do it on purpose, but I did. It was like a subconscious thing because I decided earlier this day I wasn't going to do a word count goal this week. I'm going to finish the novella this week. So I have 4.5 chapters left. One of the chapters is really long, but I do have 3 non-work lunch break days of writing. And, yesterday and the day before, I got 5,300 words between those 2 days. I don't know. Again, just like you, I'm not going to expect that much, but if I can get 2,000 words a day on those 3 days, I should be able to get through the end of this novella by next Monday. Right. I'll have, I have Tuesday, Thursday at work, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in whatever restaurant I go to for however long I want to be there, and then Monday again at work. So I should have plenty of time. So the goal is really just finish the novella.
Sounds good. Tomorrow's a work day for me, but I don't actually go in until noon. I do have a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. just for a cleaning, so hopefully there won't be any problems with that. Then afterwards, I need to go give up some blood for tests. And I'm not sure what the workday will bring, except that every Tuesday I have one of my quote-unquote special patrons come by, as she does every Tuesday afternoon, to have me help her print off her Chat GPT conversations from her phone. So I've showed her probably a million times how to do it. Just in fact, I discovered a really nice way to do it. You have this big long conversation. Just ask ChatGPT to format it for printing and turn it into a PDF file, and it will do that for you. You can just download the file and print it out. But
Never thought of that. Yeah,
I don't think her brain is capable of retaining that information because she just does not remember from one week to the next. And it's not like she's old. She's probably about my age, but she's just, I hate to say this, but she is a classic ditzy blonde. She just cannot keep anything straight. The evening on Tuesday when I'll be working should be quiet, so I'll try to get some writing done during the evening hours. Wednesday, I should get my blood test back first thing when I wake up, so I'll either be elated or depressed because these blood tests are for cancer screening. They're keeping an eye on my PSA for the prostate cancer, looking to see if they got it all when I went through all that radiation. We'll see what happens. I'll be busy at work getting ready for my Google Sheets class on Thursday. And I also need to get some more reading done for the book club, which will be coming up in about 2 weeks. I'm about 1/3 of the way through the book, but I'm behind in terms of what I'd like to be. It's a good book. It's interesting. But yeah, I just dropped the ball this past week with everything going on, with all the writing that was going on.
Yeah.
Even with all that and working at the public desk, I still hope to have some time to write, maybe only a few hundred words. I mean, I feel better if I just get something written down every day. Thursday, we'll have that Sheets class in the afternoon. But other than that, I'm just going to read my book club book, hobbies on the clock, and then write in the cracks of time that I have. Friday and Saturday, it's going to be more of the same. I'm going to look to try to maximize workout whenever I can get the chance on those days. Sunday, I have the day off. But I'm betting I'm going to be pretty tired and not up to doing much other than church in the morning. If I can, I may try to squeeze in a few new words in the afternoon. We'll just see how that goes. But I'm going to set myself kind of a reasonable goal for the week. I'm going to see if I can get 6,000 words. And if I can do that, I'll be super happy.
All right, there you go.
And in terms of stuff to share, there's only one thing, and it's really more for you than for anybody else.
Everybody else cover your ears.
You know John Scalzi, the famous science fiction author.
I know the name.
Yeah, you know the name. May not know him personally, but I discovered that he lives in Ohio, and he's only 3 hours from you. You need to make a friendship there with him. He's in a town called Bradford, Ohio, which is north of Dayton. It's kind of right up there in farm country. He actually bought himself an old church, and he refurbished an old church, and I think that serves as his office. And I'm not sure if the parsonage is where his family actually lives or whatever. But if you're on Blue Sky, check him out because he posts pictures of everything, including his cats, on there. And the office and stuff is really neat. And if I was living in Ohio, I'd have to accidentally drive by every now and then and see what was going on.
Well, I mean, my sister sold her house in Georgia, and she's moving to that area. So
she is.
The next time, the next time or the first time I make a trip down to see her, then maybe I'll have to do that.
So it's a really good thing that you didn't buy the house down the street from her.
Yes, because that's what started my whole financial repayment plan in 2018. Is she tried to get me to buy the house next to her in Georgia, so I'd be down there by myself.
Right.
So yeah.
Are they moving up for a job or just moving up?
They're going to move up for a job and to be closer to their daughter and us. I mean, we don't see them on Christmas and things like that because neither of us want to get in the car and drive 15 hours.
Right.
So this will be a lot better for everybody.
So that's where her daughter lives up in that area?
She lives in the Dayton area, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do have something to share here. I talked about it earlier. It was my new idea for learn the back end of API that my boss suggested to me. Now, in the past, when I was a kid, I would learn computer programming languages, and I really couldn't just sit down and be like, I'm going to learn this language. I needed a reason. I need something to write. I need something that interested me, something to write. So I learned BASIC, I learned Pascal, I learned Visual Basic, and I learned C# by writing a fantasy football program. And it was a program that allowed me to basically run a league, and that's what it was. And so that's what I did. So for this, in order for me to learn the back end of AI to understand kind of how it works, I need a reason. The reason I had earlier was my APBA football game stats, but that would be fun, and I would enjoy that. I probably wouldn't get a whole lot of use out of it, but why not try to build something that I will get a lot of use out of it? So I went to ChatGPT. I had started a conversation about the APBA football game program, and I came in today after work, I got home and I was just kind of sitting here. It was when you texted me that we podcast earlier. I wrote the following. I said, okay, I want to change things up and I want to use the AI for something else. I said, I've written a novel, book 1, and I've written a novella, book 1.5. I released the novel in May 2023. I spent the last couple of years writing the first drafts of book 2 through 7, and I've written 2 more novellas, book 0.5 and book 7.5. I said, I'm planning to write book 8 and 9, and then go back and start editing book 2 and releasing it. I always do this, by the way, with ChatGPT. I give it a summary, and then I say the following. Does that make sense? And then it answers me. And of course, it always makes sense.
Right.
And it says, yeah, that makes perfect sense, blah, 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 blah. You're great. You're the best author in the world, all the stuff that ChatGPT does. And then it said, do you want me to do any help with any of the following? It gave me a whole bunch of topics, and it always does that. It always gets way ahead of me. And I said, if I were to put each of the stories into Word documents, could I then use AI to ask anything, big or small, about the stories, the characters, the plots, the subplots, the places, the descriptions, etc., and on and on and on about the series? And would it pick things out from them, answering any question I have? Because I've tried this with Novel Crafter. I've tried this with ChatGPT. There's not a very big context in terms of the number of words. And if I've got 84,000 words in book 1, and then I've got, let's say, 75,000 words in the next 8 novels, and I've got 25 to 35,000 words in my novellas, and then I go to this AI and I say, hey, give me every character that ever had a speaking line, it's going to miss most of them because it just can't remember. So I asked it that, and it told me, yes, you can absolutely do that, and it works incredibly well if set up right. It said, here's what it would look like. So it told me, you want to load your Word documents into the AI app and then be able to ask any question. Summarize basically what I said. And it gives me a sample of questions. When did Sam first visit the warehouse? What's funny is I never told this conversation here about my book, but because I've talked to it about my book so much, it remembers stuff. It knows it all. What's Danny's relationship with Linus like in book 3? List every time Detective Chase appears in the series. Summarize the subplot involving a missing folder. I don't even know what that is. And it's, what does Sam's house look like? And it says, you want to get accurate, specific responses based only on your documents. And then it says, here's how it works. You upload your Word docs to a folder, which I did. You convert and parse them into raw text, which can be done automatically. You split the text into chunks, aka paragraphs or scenes. You create vector embeddings. I'm a computer programmer. I have no idea what that means. It says you use OpenAI or something like llama-index. I don't know what that is. And then you ask the question, and AI will find the most relevant chunks before generating an answer. And it gives me an idea, some tools. It gives me an example prompt. But then I had to say, well, not yet. I said, okay, what I did was I took the 2 drafts of book 1 and book 1.5, and I stuck it in a folder. And I said, okay, I have a folder now with 2 of the books. They're the 2 I finished so far. What next? And it gave me a step-by-step guide, which is fine. I read through this and was like, whatever. But what the step-by-step guide it gave me, Rich, was it said, if you upload the folder or files to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will do all the work. And then I said, no. I want to do this myself. Like, I want to write the code, meaning have ChatGPT write it for me, and I just copy it in. I want to write the code, and I want to understand the back end. I want to know how it works. And I said it would look good on a resume down the road if I ever needed it to understand the back end. Because companies, again, like I said earlier, they're all writing AIs. And if I knew how to do one, that'd look good on a resume over someone who doesn't. So it gave me a step-by-step setup. And it gave me Python. I don't want to use Python as a computer programmer. I want to use something else. And then finally it said, where's that? I still don't want to use Python. It gave me React, JavaScript, which I do want to write. And then it gave me literally 15 to 20 lines of code. And I wrote something like, is that all there is? Is that really all it is? And it's like, yeah, that's all it is. Well, what you do is you use one of your API keys that you have with Open Router. And I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that these companies out there that are saying, we can make an AI for you, all they're doing is plugging into some existing large language model. Is that it? Large language model, LLM. And they're just basically tying it to your data. You ask questions about your data. It uses that LLM as its back end, and that's all it is. And ChatGPT said, yeah, you're exactly right. You're not writing the AI model yourself. You're just building the app around it. I never knew that. Like, I never knew it was that simple.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to think now. Yeah, I haven't gone too deep into this, but there's this issue of you being able to download the structure of an LLM and then train it on your data sets. And that's essentially what you're talking about doing, is training it on your data set, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because it only looks at my data set. That's all it looks at.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not trying to ask questions about the world or whatever. It just looks at my Word documents. Right. That's it.
So let me give you a couple of things. You don't necessarily want to use ChatGPT for this because its context window is too small.
Yes. Well, here, let me do this.
Okay.
My next thing I said to it is exactly kind of what you're going for. I said the following. Okay, so back to my question. If I have 12 books in the series, 9 novels around 60 to 85,000 words, 3 novellas around 30,000, I would like my AI program to be able to search all of these when I ask some questions. For example, give me every character who has a speaking part. I've tried using different models to do this, and none of them get it right. They can't see all those words, and they miss things. Wouldn't this do the same thing? And it complimented me on how great the question was. That's what it does. And then it says, it's funny, it says a heading that says, the problem, token limits are real. So it says, even GPT-4 Turbo, the best available. I like how it called its own the best instead of one of the other ones. On OpenRouter or OpenAI has a token limit of 128,000 tokens, which is roughly 300 to 350 pages of a paperback novel. So, but your total word count, and did the math and said 765,000 or 3.5 million tokens, which is, and it said that's way more than any model can take in at once. So yes, if you just you dump everything into a giant prompt, it will absolutely miss things. That's why the solutions that I've tried so far haven't worked. This is what ChatGPT is telling me. And then it says the solution is called chunking plus embedding plus retrieval augmented generation, aka RAG, R-A-G. It says you break the books into chunks like chapters, scenes, or paragraphs. Each chunk is small, 500 to 1,000 words. You store metadata, book title, chapter, character names, optional according to ChatGPT. You embed those chunks using, this is my favorite. You embed those chunks using OpenAI, we'll skip the second one and we'll go Mistral embedding model, or the third one, something called Hugging Face. Get to that in a second. And you're creating a searchable vector database, which is your app's memory that it searches. And then it says, when you ask a question, the system will convert your question into an embedding, whatever that is. I feel like it didn't complete a sentence there. Find the most relevant chunk, send only those few chunks to the LLM, which within the token limits, but it limits how much it's going. The LLM generates an answer using just the matching pieces. That way the model doesn't need to see everything at once. It only sees what's relevant. And now I'm reading that a second time now, and it actually makes a little more sense. And it gave me an example. Which characters have speaking parts in book 1? Well, that's not a very big chunk of the words, but it's still a lot, which is fine. And then it says, here's the magic, which is with this little emoji. It says, you're not limited by the model's memory. You're building a searchable brain from your series, which is what I want. And it's got some bullet points. Bullet point 1, it could search across 12 books or 50. Interesting. Bullet point 2, it can pull up everything Sam ever said. Very interesting. And number 2, or the third example is, it can compare how Dani describes her dad in book 1 versus book 6. Also really interesting in terms of keeping things the same, which is what I'm looking for when I start plotting book 8 and book 9. And it says, do you want to do this? And it offers to write the whole thing up for me. And I said, I took those 3 bullet points. It can search across 12 books or 50. It can pull up everything Sam ever said, and it can compare how Dani describes her dad in book 1 versus book 6. And I said, are you sure about this? Because I've never been able to get this to happen in anything I've ever done here in ChatGPT, Novel Crafter, or anything else. I always miss stuff. And it said, yes, I'm 100% sure it can be done if it's architected right.
Right.
And it said, but you're absolutely right to be skeptical because most tools didn't do the full job for me. It says they skip steps. Now it's criticizing. They skip steps. They take shortcuts. They oversimplify retrieval. And then it went through. It gave me bullet points on why AI tools miss things. And then it said, here's how you can do it right. Something called smart chunking, custom embedding, granular retrieval, not just the top 3 matches, and so on and so forth, all the way down to where I wrote, do I have to do anything with my novels other than make sure each one is in its own Word doc and they're named correctly so that Word doc book 1 is called book 1, manufacturing murder. Book 1.5 is called book 1.5, the ledger, that kind of thing. I go, everything else is done inside the code. And it said, you're absolutely right. And then it gives me what I need to do and what the code will do. and I asked it for some code and it gave it to me, and this is what I'm going to start doing at some point this weekend. And it really does not look like very much code at all, and I'm kind of excited about this.
It'll be interesting. It sounds, just from the description, it sounds like what it's going to be doing is creating a 3-dimensional matrix that when you ask a question, it will then search it one piece at a time and pull out whatever relevant information is from there, and then dump the rest of the information, and then move on to the next piece, and then just kind of store only the things that are relevant to the question being asked, and then
it sends that to the model,
right?
And then the model kind of picks everything out and sends back an answer.
Right.
I think that's what it seemed like.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to mention that there are at least 2 models that are much bigger, maybe more appropriate for us. I don't know. The new Gemini 2.0 Flash, that has a 1 million token context window. And there's another one out there, and I've not really looked into this. I don't even know how to get access to it necessarily, but it's magic.dev is the company. It's an LTM2 Mini, and it has a 100 million token window.
Wow.
Enough for 750 novels, roughly.
So, I mean, it's so weird to me that I'm going to paste 750 novels in there, ask questions about it, and it's going to be able to see in all those 750 novels everything I want to get back. It's not going to miss it.
Yeah. I'm
skeptical.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. Although, if it is structured like what you're just talking about, then in principle, that kind of approach can be infinite in size. There's the only thing that will limit it is if you retrieve enough information to match the context window of the output that the LLM you're referencing can actually get out. But
this could solve the problem that I've been having for a long time, and that is how do I keep an accurate story Bible.
Right.
And if I can get 12 Word documents in a folder and then ask anything I want, and what I would do then is I would take the first drafts of books 2 through 7 along with my novellas. I'd put them in Word documents too, get it going, and then when I sit down to plot book 8, I can ask any question I want. Hey, what did I do back here? Did I mention this in the past? Or can you see something that I meant that I need to put in this book? Something like that. Anything I want, and supposedly get the correct answer.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And I'm still skeptical, by the way.
Yeah.
But this is something I'm going to at least take a look at this weekend. It does not look like much code at all. We're talking, because all you're doing is giving yourself a place where you can type something in,
right?
And then it knows to search your Word documents. It builds what it's going to send to the LLM. And now you're paying for this because you're still using your tokens when you hit the LLM. So you're still paying for this. And I'm assuming, if I go into Open Router, I can see like Novel Crafter has hit it, and I'm wondering what this is going to look like.
Well, you're right. I mean, you're right. You're paying on the front end and the back end because you're paying to create the database to begin with when you ask the question. So,
wait, what?
Well, if when you ask it to search your Word documents, you'll be paying for that as well.
Really? I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
You're right.
I would think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. So now it makes me wonder, and I think it did at one point throughout here. I think it was right at the beginning when I was still talking about the football. I asked about cost, and it did say, let me see. Actually, I think it was during the cost. Yeah, I said, does this cost anything? Or all the tools free? And I was talking more about the programming side of it. Or do I have to go into the cloud and get some LLM, get some license or something like that? And it did say to me, it did say OpenAI pricing overview, and it gives me the token amount. But it also says you could also explore open local source models like llama.cpp or ollama to eliminate API costs entirely.
Right.
I assume things like that probably aren't very good. But who knows?
What they are, from my understanding anyways, is since you download the structure of those models,
right,
you then run everything locally on your own machine, and it is definitely siloed. Then it's not going anywhere to get anything else, and then it becomes free. You're essentially. So
I kind of like that idea. I'm going to look into that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to have any kind of an update next Monday at this. I'm going to look at it this weekend.
Yeah.
Again, it does not look very complicated at all, and it actually, I think once you get into the weeds of it, it can be a little complicated. But just building a basic one, I find really interesting, and yeah, we'll see how this goes.
That will be interesting. Sounds like a
Yeah.
great sounds like a great time sink.
No, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm gonna stop working on my basketball stats program for a couple weeks and work on this instead.
Right.
And then something will pause. It's like when I'm sitting on my computer, I'll be sitting on my computer and I'll have YouTube on this channel or over here, and I'll be scanning YouTube here, and I'll go, oh, that's interesting. I'll pause this one, start watching this one. Then I'll go, oh, look at my TV, and I'll pause this one. I'm looking at my TV. Yeah. Eventually, I've got 3 things paused, and I'm watching the 4th one.
That's right.
So this was going to happen here. But anyways, that was it. That was what I wanted to share. I'm interested in this as a programmer, as something that could go on my resume, and as someone who wants a good Bible for my story. And this might be a really nice way to do it.
And if it works, it may give you a reason to build out a super high-end gaming machine of some kind to be able to run all this.
So, I like that idea. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. So, all right. You have nothing else?
No, I'm done.
All right. That is going to be the podcast for this week. If you want to get a hold of me, Jerry at jerryevanoff.com. Although, just you can email me. I may not see it with the way this whole thing's working right now with this Chemi Club. Website's jerryevanoff.com. We're on YouTube. We're on Patreon. We're on Spotify. All those places that you look for audio or video. I'm gonna go ahead and when I sit down to start plotting book 8, I'm gonna do it behind the Patreon wall. So if you want to see that, go sign up. But it will be there. There'll be a series of videos I'm gonna put up there of me plotting book 8. And it may be a couple weeks before that happens if I do anything with this API, because I really would like to use this story Bible to do some book 8 plotting. But we'll see.
Yeah, if you want to talk to me, my email address is rich@richkacy.com. I can also be found on Blue Sky at Kacy himself. You can go there and look at the live skeeting I was doing of the training I had this past week.
Yeah. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for today. And we will talk to you all in a week.
Have a great week.